Nod your head. If we're live, just tell me. Tell me we're live.
Yes, we're live, my friend.
All right. Well, we're going to get good at this someday, I promise.
Never.
Never, yeah. We need one of those clacker things. If anyone in Hollywood wants to send us a clacker, that way we know to get started. What's up, Facebook? We're live. Welcome to another episode of Nerf Herder Radio. I'm your host, Carter, and with me is Jason. And we got a couple guests with us tonight. Brandon's going to come back. He was with us a couple weeks ago. He chickened out last week. I think he had Game of Thrones exhaustion, and he couldn't make a Tuesday night webcast. And we got a long-time buddy that Jason and I have known for a long time. Guy we played a lot of video games with and grinded through a lot of BS on Destiny with. Matt's going to join us tonight and kind of get his feet wet in the podcasting world. So we appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. Got a long list of subjects we're going to talk about. One of the things we want to do is we are a Star Wars-based theme podcast named Nerf Herder Radio, obviously. Want to really talk about Star Wars. So Jason's kind of come up with the idea. We're going to go back and revisit some of the classic movies and have a conversation about those, maybe a retrospective, if you will, 20 years later type thing. So tonight we're going to start at the not beginning, but beginning with episode 1. Going to have a conversation about that. We're going to talk a little bit about gaming, some interesting news in the gaming world, specifically around a company that Matt might have interest in, a Gearbox company like Borderlands, and Matt's a big Borderlands player. Some issues going on with them. And then obviously we're always going to have a Game of Thrones conversation, at least for the next 2 weeks, until they finally kill that show, which they've kind of done all season. But I digress. So, without getting started, let's jump into that Star Wars conversation. Jason,
yeah,
you wanted to have a conversation about episode 1. You want to take it from the beginning? I mean, did you rewatch the movie?
Yeah, I rewatched the movie. I had a this was interesting to me because this movie came out kind of in the prime of my childhood, if you will. It was the
1999.
Yeah, so I was a freshman in high school. So this was kind of like my trilogy because I didn't grow up. I was born in '84. I didn't get to experience 4, 5, and 6, and it always for the longest time confused me. Why did we start with episode 4 and we didn't start with 1 and yada yada yada? And so when these came out, I was like, oh my gosh, we're getting a prequel. This is exciting, and it's going to kind of tell us some of that backstory and stuff. And then you watch it. And specifically episode 1, there's a lot of things about it that I just kind of like, to kick my head to the side. I'm like, really? What's going on? So I'm curious, first of all, who liked it, who hated it, and why. I want to talk about one of the things I notice about every time I watch it is when you have the Trade Federation people, Newt Gunray and them, when they are talking, they have the same kind of, I don't know, I guess I won't say it's dialect, but the way they talk is the same way that the Gungans sound. It always drove me nuts. It's like you couldn't give them a different voice. The Darth Maul disappointment letdown that was from the hype in the trailer. We have bow staff lightsabers for the first time, what we never saw in the beginning, which I know that's probably a lot of it was around CGI. The Gungans themselves, there's just a lot of like weird plot holes and things with the movie that just didn't make sense to me and mesh well. I like the movie, but I don't like the movie as well. So I mean, what do you guys think? What's your thoughts, Brandon?
I enjoyed the movie. I just went for the nostalgia of the show itself. I enjoyed Star Wars Episode 1. I was disappointed in Darth Maul's part. I mean, he has I think 2 speaking lines in the entire movie. It was a major hype of this cool new Sith character, a dual bladed lightsaber, but then he comes back and there's just a couple of fights with him, no dialogue. So it was kind of a disappointment. Like it wasn't really seeing a cool new Sith Lord or even a Sith apprentice coming and fighting someone. It's kind of like we just said, or Lucas just said, hey, we need a bad guy and it can't be Vader this time. So here's somebody.
And he looked freaking awesome. I mean, Ray Park did a great job as him with the martial arts and the moves and everything else.
You gotta understand something very important about these first 3 movies is they were made to sell toys.
Yes.
And I mean, that's where the bulk of Lucasfilm's money comes from, is from selling toys. So from a selling toys like standpoint, like he's an awesome character. He looks cool. He has a cool new lightsaber. Like everybody wanted it. So I liked the movie when I was in the 8th grade because it was the first Star Wars movie that I saw, other than the original 3, like in the theaters. As a 34-year-old adult, it looks like trash. I mean, it's just...
The special effects did not age well at all with it.
No.
The problem that it was all green screened, and Lucas shot all the 1, 2, and 3 were primarily green screened, and it on 1080p 4K TV today, it doesn't hold up.
No.
I thought some of the fight scenes were cool, just because the only fighting we really saw in the original 3 was Obi-Wan and Vader, who were ancient at the time and couldn't really move, and plus they didn't have the special effects or the choreographed fighting that they have now. But I thought the fighting was awesome. The whole dueling of the fates, that little scene between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul, that was pretty awesome.
The musical score was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, give it to John Williams. We'll always have a good score.
Yeah. I look at it though, and I think just from you think about the history of Star Wars, and I get, when we see 4, 5, and 6, people are in very plain clothing. It's very basic, but it's also a war-torn galaxy, if you will. So you think like in World War II, people were harvesting everything they could for the war and things like that. And then you go look at 1, 2, and 3, and everything is rounded and smooth and shiny and polished, and people are fancily dressed. My biggest grievance though is it's kind of probably the smaller things. There's so many different alien races that are shown in 1 through 3. 4, 5, and 6 you don't really see them. You got Akbar and a couple others. And his trap, but then you go into, what is it, 7, 8, 9, and they still don't really have a bunch of these hidden races that were once in 1 through 3. Yeah, I'm getting all the numbers mixed up now. I'm sorry. But were they just eviscerated out of the galaxy? Did we just not think to keep them in there? Is it a budget cut issue? Is it like Ghost from Game of Thrones? It's like, it's just a lot of work. We're just going to kind of show a couple of shots. He stands here, and then we just pan off and do something else. That really drove me nuts. And then the Gungans, they sucked. I'm sorry. And they jump into this pond in the middle of the woods that looks like it's 10 feet deep, and all of a sudden there's this vast city underneath it that's not that far down. There's no lights glowing in it, and all this. It's just very poorly executed, I thought. And I think you're right, Matt. This was designed as a marketing. This is just a giant commercial because it sold toys. You had the Pod Racer game for the
which was fun.
Oh yeah, I played the crap out of it on PC.
Yeah. As an eighth grader, like, I don't know, what are we, like 13 at that point? I watched it 4 times in the theaters. I watched it the day it came out. I remember having my grandmother making me go get tickets so I could go watch this. Like, I loved it then. It just, like you said, did not age well at all.
Yeah. Carter, you've been awful quiet. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was letting everyone else talk. I'll always love a Star Wars movie. Anything, especially since we hadn't had a Star Wars movie in 25 years prior to this. So there's that element to it. I remember seeing it. I was stationed in the Navy, and I saw it in Sigonella, Sicily, a week after it came out in theaters. This was, before Facebook, so I didn't hear anything about it or went any kind of spoiler free. There's some elements about the movie I liked, some I didn't. I've always been a fan of the pod racing. And I take that back to one of George Lucas's first films, American Graffiti, which is all about street racing and kids growing up. But what I loved about that is the cars, and the cars had a unique sound. Like Harrison Ford's yellow pickup truck had a unique sound, and everything. And I think George Lucas really put that into the pod races. I mean, you can tell when Sebulba was coming around the track, or when Annie was flying around the track, or
funny thing about
all guys.
Do y'all know how they recorded the sound effects for his pod racer? Tires off of an 18-wheeler.
Okay, believe it. I mean, all of the sounds and the animations was, looking at little Jake Lloyd cringe every time something bad happened. I got a little sick of, but I mean, I remember when the DVD first came out, I got this thing and cranked my sound system up to 11 and just watched that scene over and over again. I enjoyed that.
Why 11 and not 10?
Because it goes up to 11.
Okay.
Sorry. Spinal Tap reference for those old guys.
I got that.
Thanks. The overall story, I mean, the Qui-Gon Jinn, training Obi-Wan, then the Jedi Council fearful of Anakin, and there's an interesting article that came out earlier today about how people misunderstood what bringing balance to the Force was, and if you think about it, Anakin did bring balance to the Force.
Yep.
Just not in the way everyone wanted it to. He basically reduced the Jedi down to 2. There were 2 Sith, 2 Jedi. It doesn't get much more balanced than that.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. I saw that article too, and it talked about how to bring balance doesn't require the Sith destruction. You have to have good and evil, and they have to coexist together in a balanced form. So
yeah.
I'm really excited to see what happens with Rise of Skywalker. What does it mean? Does that mean that the Jedi become Skywalkers, or is Luke coming back? Who knows? I'm gonna not talk about spoilers, and I don't want to. I want to be pleasantly surprised, and I'm trying to go in with just a flat of a baseline expectation. So one, I'm not disappointed, but two, I can enjoy the movie and walk away from it.
If you haven't already, you definitely need to check out the 2 new books, The Master and Apprentice and Lost Jedi. I finished them both this weekend. Really great, lead up to what I think we're going to get to in Rise of the Skywalker. So,
yeah, I heard some. I heard Master and Apprentice was really good. So yeah. Brandon talked about some of the Star Wars books on the podcast he was on. So definitely, always looking for something good to listen to on my travels around the country.
Yeah, so. I got them both on Audible. So.
Okay.
That's what I listened to while I was traveling.
You said it was Master and Apprentice and Lost Jedi?
Yeah, Count Dooku, it's the Lost Jedi. I think that's what Jedi Lost, that's what it's called.
And then we have Jedi Outcast coming out too.
Yeah. You talked about the different races, and I don't know if it's my understanding, and especially about the ships and the monotone colors is I think you can contribute a lot of that to what Eastern Europe felt under communism is muted colors. Obviously I think at the point of episode 1, we're probably in some sort of Renaissance period in the galaxy, and all these ship manufacturers and companies and organizations and industries are all prospering, and then the Empire comes in and basically crushes all that.
Yep.
It kind of rules over the entire spacefaring race with an iron fist. So they basically stomp out competition. And also, I mean, you've got to remember at the end of episode 3, I think Anakin, or at that point Darth Vader, pretty much wiped out everybody that was left of the Separatists. Well, that doesn't mean the Trade Federation species, whatever they were wiped off the face of the earth, but I think that it just you wipe them out of relevance. So
yeah, that's kind of what I when you really think about how dark it gets is when you look in the later episodes, there's not that many different alien races and whatnot, and the stormtroopers were clones to begin with, and you look at all these massive battles that were taking place on all these planets at the time. There probably was a genocide, mass slaughter of races, which is really jacked up when you think about it.
Have you watched the Clone Wars, the TV show? The one
I've tried.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it another shot, probably, especially since I'm going to be talking about Star Wars so much more now on a weekly basis. But no, I haven't.
You should. You get to see a lot of the stuff that you're wanting right there.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Well, cool. Also, another thing, kind of adding on to the book series, I saw on a Star Wars news site that there's a new Boba Fett comic book series coming out by Marvel, so I might have to run to the comic book store and pick that one up.
The Darth Vader one's been really, really good.
Yeah, I'd seen a couple of those. I hadn't read them, but they looked cool. But Boba Fett's my guy, so and that's kind of why I'm I'm not as torn about the Darth Maul demise because Lucas has had this knack of taking overhyped characters and building them up to godlike, status, and then they die abruptly, and everyone hates them. And he's done it in every trilogy. So you had Boba Fett in the OG trilogy, obviously Darth Maul, which we know he didn't truly die, but for the most part for this series, and then Captain Phasma in the last three, which Lucas didn't have any part in, but still kind of holding that tradition.
Yeah,
so
that's it. Captain Phasma's actually dead.
We never see her die, so she's alive.
If you don't see the body, did they really die?
Soap opera logic. I agree.
Yeah, that's Hollywood logic for you. So
yeah.
I was very disappointed.
Speaking of soap opera logic, Jamie and Cersei.
Again, that's what I've been telling people all week.
Hold on, guys. I got to turn my lights to red for the blood that was shed. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
That's what I keep telling people all week, and I was like, we didn't see them die. We just saw a building collapse.
Yeah.
Are
They're
they going to 27 hours it, or was it 127 hours it and cut the? Well, he already lost his arm, so he'll lose the other arm. He'll be Nubs.
They're in a dungeon underneath the building. I don't think they're alive.
Yeah, they're dead as a doornail.
So.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Okay, let's unpack that episode. How about you? So, spoiler warnings, we are going to dive into Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5. It's social media, it's 2019. If you haven't seen the show right now and you're on Facebook, you're an idiot. So you're opening yourself up to spoilers. I have no sympathy for you.
And you know nothing.
Yes, yeah. I may be the oddball here, but I like the episode.
I did too.
I liked it a lot. I know everybody was so angry about Daenerys. How they turned her into this mad queen, and she's never shown that. And we'll talk about that.
That's not true.
Because there is some leading up to is where we see her continually doing something with fire, and she kind of shows this crazy side, but it's very well restrained because she has people around her she trusts and felt comfortable with. But in a crisis of faith, and I won't say faith, but a crisis of her life of being challenged as to what she's kind of been working towards her whole life, falls before her. It would drive somebody to kind of be angry. And I mean, she has a right to be angry. She's lost dragons. She's lost close friends. Jon doesn't love her anymore. And, all of these things. And so there's this raw emotion that's getting handled right there and experienced. And I know some people, there was an article that came out that said like, they pulled it, and this is not to be disrespectful or anyway to anybody, but instead of making her rise to the occasion, they made her look like a traditional woman who just reacted emotionally and all this other stuff. And it's like, I'm sorry, I would probably act the same way.
I don't think she acted emotionally though.
No.
I think she made that decision way before that ever happened. I think this is something that was cold and calculated. Like nothing emotional was about this. She knew what she was doing. There's a purpose for her for this. Like.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in and say I disagree there because you got to remember the whole beginning of the story here. Danny's been told how everyone in Westeros is crying out for her to return and they want her to come back. And Tyrion tries to steer her away from that and tell her that, people don't care about Targaryens anymore. They're not looking for you anymore. We're not concerned with you. And she came over kind of expecting this hail the conquering hero, the return of something great. And slowly learned how, the North doesn't trust anyone, but they definitely don't like her. And anywhere else she went, she's been really viewed as this tyrant, this monster who's coming with these 3 massive dragons. And I think she's never encountered that before. When she went to Marine and saved people, she was, it was hail the conquering hero. She freed us. And she's not had to deal in a situation where she wasn't wanted.
Yeah, well, only
think
half those people wanted her there. The slave owners definitely didn't want her.
Right, but the majority of everyone that was there wanted her there, and they were gleefully welcoming her. So I think she's not had a situation where she's had to deal with the situation where we don't want you here. Yeah.
Well, the ones that did feel that way, she crucified them all. Remember?
Right. Yeah. Well, in the other place, and then she came over here, and what'd she do? She starts burning people just like the
I don't understand why. Yeah, I don't understand why people are surprised by her actions. Like, she's been saying that she's going to be doing this for 8 seasons, and then, like, oh, you burned people. I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, well,
yeah, which every season she burns a village or burns a town or burns people. I mean, fire is her her craft.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that to me this correlates perfectly to, when we see there's a great podcast by Game Scoop from IGN, and they talked about this when it comes to game trailers, and it relates to Game of Thrones. Is we see this trailer and we have this idea in our head of what we think is going to happen, and we talk about it and we speculate on it, and we have videos about it and blogs, and everybody's giving their opinions, and then there's some kind of leak, or what does this mean, and does the sigil from the Night King, does it mean he's a Targaryen, and all this other stuff, and we build in our minds this greater nemesis or this greater good that's happening, and then when it actually is executed to what the show and the writers have written out, we come in disappointed and let down because it's not what we built up in our head. Same way with the video game. Like, you could pick Fallout and some of the other ones. And they had some terrible launches with some of the content within their games. But, Destiny 2, we had this huge scheme in our head of what was going to happen. Oh, somebody's laundry's done. And, the game comes out, and then we're disappointed and we're upset about it, and we're mad at the publisher. But the publisher never alluded to any of that stuff necessarily in any of their trailers or anything else. We built it up ourselves in our head, and that's why people, I think, get upset. I'm very pleased with the only thing I feel is that they're rushing it. I feel like, we could have had some of these battles earlier on, but I think it's a great wrap up. It's a great close. People were mad about Arya killing the Night King and how quick that battle was, and I was like, well, it's called Game of Thrones. It's not called The Long Night. So this was the mini boss before the final boss. Now we're at the final boss stage.
I would have appreciated a little bit more slow of a burn on Dany, but I mean, we knew this is how it was going to end. I mean, the books are called A Song of Ice and Fire, like, not the song of, like, ice and fire getting along and ruling the 7 kingdoms together.
Yeah. Was the slow burn a pun there?
A little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, the only character that I was truly, if I had to be disappointed in the abrupt change of this character, is Arya. At the end of the episode before last, her and the Hound are on their way to King's Landing, and she is on a mission. Yeah. Now, the road from Winterfell to King's Landing is more than a 30-minute horse ride.
Unless you have fast travel.
Well,
or Amazon Prime.
Either way.
You cannot fast travel when enemies are nearby.
So at any point, the Hound could have told her to go home. This isn't your fight. You're gonna, this isn't where you want to be. They wait all until they rush through the city as it's being just destroyed,
which was awesome.
Into the castle. She's literally probably 50 feet away from Cersei Lannister, and the Hound basically gives her a one-liner, and she's like, "You're right. I need to go." I think she abandoned her purpose way too quick. Jamie, I get his decision. I mean, the things you do for love. You push the kid out of the window. You knew he was going to be there. No, I didn't think he was going to kill Cersei. I think he would have been there in her death because of the prophecy from the frog or whatever her name is about how Cersei's going to die. But Arya, just to be so stone cold killer all the way up to that point and go, "Yep, I gotta go." If there was any disappointment in the episode, I think that was it for me. What do y'all think?
I was disappointed that Jon didn't act more. Like, he just keeps, like, how did he not see this was coming? Like, he keeps, like, she's my queen. Like, Tyrion's like, nah.
Because he knows nothing, man. He knows nothing.
Varys is like, no, like, I've seen this before. I saw her father, like, hey, everybody. And then they just let her kill him and then don't expect her to, like, do anything else crazy for the rest of the episode. It's like, oh, she got the burning out of her, so she won't burn anybody else this episode.
Yeah,
I think, John, you got to remember, it goes back to what he said at the end of the last season when he tells Cersei that he's sworn fealty to Dany. And that same, you give your word, you keep your word.
Yeah.
His father, Ned Stark, died for it, and same thing is he's saying, I
His
gave
nobility basically prohibits him from acting against her.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Your word is your word, and that's all you have. And I respect that, but it's kind of like, dude, he could. I blame kind of what happened in King's Landing on John when Auntie Dany is trying to smooch up on him, and he kind of pushes back, and she's like, "Well, fine, then let it be fear." And it's like, dude, just giving her a little kissy kiss, and she would have been like, "Oh, this is great." And then afterwards, been like, "You're crazy. We need to figure this out, Tyrion. You go do something. Get Bronn in here. I don't care. Let's figure this out afterwards." But it's kind of his fault. She's heartbroken. She's away from everybody. Her bestie for the resties gone, and she's angry. I don't think Arya's story is over. I do like how at the end of this, she's had this mission to kill the entire time, and the Hound looks at her, and they have a special connection, and she realizes that how bitter and angry he is. It's like she still wants to have a future and still wants to be human and not heartless, even though she's taken on that role. And I like that closing of it. I'm curious what the next arc is for her. There's a lot of speculation that the Song of Ice and Fire will be the Ballad of Arya, because she's killed Ice. Fire's all that's left. And there's also the theories that Snow will bury Longclaw into Dany and killing her, and he will become the prince that is promised. And because she's fire, the sword will always be a flaming sword, and all these other little speculations around that. So I'm very excited for the last episode. But
someone also pointed out to me that Dany has green eyes. The little thing that the Red Witch talked about, like you'll call brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes. Dany also has green eyes. So, and I didn't notice. I was just like, holy crap.
Well, does Emilia Clarke have green eyes, or does Daenerys Targaryen in the books have green eyes?
Not in the books. She has purple eyes, but not in the TV show. I'm pretty sure in the TV show she has green eyes.
So if she has green eyes, then that's we already know about the prophecy there. So I would there's a lot of
I think that part's done. I think it was Peter Baelish, Walder Frey, Night King.
I mean, it would be too much. It's like you can't have the OP character come in and just whack everybody off, because that would be very frustrating. I am curious. I'm just curious. I don't know what's going to happen. Is she going to rule with an iron fist? Is she going to go kill Sansa now? Is she going to, silence anybody who could question and usurp her? And that's where I do think one of the things that she did stick to her word on more than anything else is she came to break the wheel. Well, wheel's gone. Lannisters are gone. Yeah. The House of the Roses are gone. The Starks are pretty much gone. All the
only people left are the Knights of the Vale.
So she's broken the wheel like she promised. She ain't gonna sit on no iron throne, because it ain't even iron anymore. It's ashen, molten blob probably, if it's even. Yeah. So, but I thought Varys. I hate how Varys went out. I was very frustrated with that. The Euron Jaime fight. I wish he would have beat the crap out of Euron more. By the way, side note. After every episode on Mondays, y'all need to go watch Leslie Jones either on Instagram or Twitter and watch her reviews of Game of Thrones. She records it and gives they're hilarious. By far the best person who could review Game of Thrones ever. So you should give it a shot.
I guess one other area that I was frustrated, and I don't think it's doesn't really detract from the story, but when Daenerys is riding over Blackwater Bay and Euron kills the green dragon. I don't know the green Viserion or what the names are. Rhaegal. I mean, they were incredibly accurate and just dropped that thing like a bad habit. And Sunday night's episode, they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with those scorpions.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's sloppy writing or what. I mean, maybe she's coming in hot and.
Well, she did use the sun.
Yeah, she used the sun to her advantage, and she came in at a very steep speed angle and then came out below where the scorpions could shoot. And then when she swooped into the castle, she was below where they could aim downward because those things would go up and then straight. They wouldn't point down, I don't think. And so they were missing her.
I know, but the animations is Dragon just sitting there roasting them. They're just kind of staring there, pointed in a different direction.
Yeah.
Little things. I mean, it just the increased accuracy the week before versus Sunday night. But like I said, it doesn't detract from the episode to me.
Yeah, my big question on that point was they were showing people before scorpions are being fired, loading the scorpions. And I'm like, y'all know she's coming. Why are these things not loaded? Why are not people on Overwatch constantly looking for this?
Union workers.
Yeah, apparently.
Or maybe they'd already been fired and they're reloading. Who knows?
It could be in the screen, and maybe the editing was a little weird, so it looked to me like they were being loaded for the first time before the dragon showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Overall, I'm enjoying it. I'm very pleased. I haven't been disappointed by anything. I'm disappointed in the shortness and the rushness, but at this point, I'm ready for some closure with it, and I'm ready to move on to shows like Chernobyl and finding my next fixed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're coming out with a couple of more Game of Thrones, not this, but spin-offs, so we'll get our, Westeros fix soon.
So what happens on the finale? I have a theory.
I mean, honestly, I don't feel like I know, which is a great thing. It'd be bad if it was telegraphed and you knew exactly what was going to happen. So Jon killing Dany, after she kills Arya, that's what I feel like may happen.
See, my theory was originally going to be in this episode is that Euron would kill Jaime.
He pretty much did.
Yeah, well, but Arya would take Jaime's face and then show back up, kill Euron and Cersei, and then at that point, probably somewhere in the mix, Dany would, probably not to the extent, it was my speculation what happened, and then Jon comes in and takes over at the throne by force of some nature. As far as after what I've seen now, I don't know. I'm kind of like you, Matt. I have some ideas, but I don't have anything solid or concrete. Is Jon going to retreat back to the north? I think part of me thinks that Jon is going to end up killing Dany, and my wife brought this up. She thinks that Jon will kill Dany, and then after everything's over with, the kingdoms kind of rule themselves. Because there's no King's Landing, there's no central government like that anymore. There's no iron ruling like that, and because Yara wanted to rule on her own, she wanted the Iron Islands to be free from the Seven Kingdoms. So I have a feeling that's what will happen, and we'll see Jon head back up north to the Wall, Castle Black area, and be up there with Tormund and the Wildlings, and be the leader of the Wildlings or something. And he'll retire that way.
There's going to be a trial. This is my theory. She's gonna have a trial for Tyrion because he betrayed her, and Tyrion is going to request trial by combat. And Tyrion's going to pick his sellsword. Bran of the Blackwater, or Bronn of the Blackwater, will show up to be his fighter, and Daenerys is going to have to pick a champion, and she'll pick Jon. And I think Jon's going to die. Tyrion's going to be free. So that's
Bronn kind of pissed me off in this episode too, man. I wasn't really happy with him, how he just showed up and he started being a jerk to everybody. Yeah.
I mean, how did he sneak past all the guards of Winterfell with a crossbow? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of behind the majesty and the spectacle of special effects, but there's a lot of off-scene stuff that I think they've kind of rushed through that I think a 10-episode season could have fleshed out a little bit better. But either that or I think Jon.
Carter, we lose you?
Kind of sounded like it.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, how he snuck past everybody and all of that. I don't know. I'm really excited though. I'm sad it's coming to an end, but I'm glad it's coming to an end.
Oh, that was weird.
Oh,
What
yeah,
happened?
there you are. You're back now.
Everybody back?
We never left.
Yeah, we never
Oh,
left.
okay. Then I left. Well, where was
Brandon's
I
having
at?
audio issues, and I'm trying to troubleshoot him. You were talking about Braun.
Well, or John's gonna kill Daenerys, and he's gonna go to Dragonstone and live out his days there. He's not gonna go back up north because he has no reason to go back up north. There's no reason to guard the wall. There's no need for Castle Black anymore. The wildlings are more or less ruled by Tormund. Sansa is going to stay up north, and I think there won't be an Iron Throne anymore. One of those two scenarios.
Will we get to see Brienne?
Maybe.
I doubt it.
Hey, he's back. All right.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Or is Brienne gonna have
Jamie
a
Bates.
Lannister?
little
A Lannister. They may not be dead yet.
Yeah, she might have a cub.
So,
Man.
but yeah, so Sansa. I mean, it could go either way. I could see Daenerys basically turning on Sansa and saying, your sister is defiant. I must break the wheel, and Jon kills her at that point or something.
Yep.
I think John, if he's going to kill her, he's going to kill her for burning down the city. That's my opinion there. I don't think we're gonna get to anything about I'm gonna kill your sister or I'm gonna stop anybody else or I'm mad. I think he's gonna be like, have you lost your mind? The first minute they get alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
We'll
think
see what
Tyrion's
happens.
going to do the same thing. I mean, he's going to end up getting killed for it, too.
I was going to say Tyrion released Jaime and betrayed her and failed her, so he'll be dead.
Yeah, but how is she gonna know?
She has her little birds. I don't know.
No,
No, those were Varys's. The Varys' spiders, and he killed Varys early. So.
Well, he was sending stuff out to a lot of people.
I was going to say Varys was working on some things. So,
Yeah.
But he's the only character that's kind of stayed true from the beginning. I mean, he was always there to protect the realm and serve the realm.
Yeah.
That's all he cared about. And, obviously Tyrion picked the wrong horse.
yeah. I do appreciate, because when you first watch the show, you look at Varys like, he's a snake in the grass, you can't trust him. And then as it progresses, you understand he's for the realm, and that's who he wants. That's all he cares about. And it's a dirty job, and he was willing to get his hands dirty to make it happen. But I like the character at the end of the day. Great closure to him. And then we haven't talked about it, Clegane Bowl.
Yeah, that was not as cool as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
But I was disappointed.
I didn't like the mountain was,
it was kind of
harmless.
Yeah, or also, turned into Darth Vader.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I just like the fact that he was just unstoppable. It's like, come on, dude, blink.
Yeah. And I mean,
Well,
Sandor actually, makes that face at one point. He's like, God, come on. So,
Did you die?
So
No, I like the fight. I mean, Lord knows what was the Maester? What was his name?
if you
Tyrell?
said it, no, not Pycelle.
Starts with a QU.
Qyburn.
Clyburn or
Qyburn.
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 Yeah, I mean that dude was all sorts of evil.
And weird.
That was pretty funny.
He
like,
was the
nope.
he was the living definition of Herbert the pervert from Family Guy in that show. I felt like.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Obey your king. Smack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So
But, I think Sandor realized that he couldn't kill him, and just to stop it, he had to sacrifice himself to
he had
take
to
him
embrace
down.
his biggest fear, which was the fire.
Yeah, that's one of the things I
exactly.
heard too. Was the only thing he hated or was worse than the fire was his brother.
Yeah. I did like every aspect of it. I watched the making of that episode, and the dude who plays the mountain, he literally is picking him up, and when you see him getting thrown, he is picking him up, the actor, and throwing him. and they show like between takes, he's standing there catching his breath, and it's just insane to watch.
Which one
is like one of
the mountain or Clegane?
Yeah, the mountain is picking the actor Clegane up and throwing him.
Yeah,
one hand.
He's like one of the strongest
man.
Yeah, he's like one of the strongest men in the world. Like he
did use roids for that, but who cares?
What's the little roids between friends?
I mean, if we're just going for strength overall, regardless of means to get there, then yes, he I don't care. Now, if it was supposed to be like strength out of pure exercise, shame on you, dude. But whatever. You're the mountain, and you can crush people's skulls and pick them up with one hand and throw them like rag dolls.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, one more episode left, and then we'll wait and see what they come up with for the prequels. I heard that several options, either go back to the era of the First Men, Old Valeria. I'd like to see that. I think Old Valeria would be cool. Kind of break away from the Starks and the family names we know so much about. You know, maybe you still got the Targaryens, but I think that would be cool. Plus, dragons are awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do. I'm excited. It's been a great 8 years or 9 years, however long the show's been on, really. But yeah, I'm with you, Jason. I'm kind of ready for some other shows. I want to start Chernobyl. I heard that's really good. Then obviously
very Russian.
Yeah.
It is very Russian.
Yeah. So
I'm very excited about that. And then after I watch that, I can go watch Godzilla and make it pretend that Godzilla came out of Chernobyl, and that's how we had the Titans from there. Let's just keep this crazy train.
Well, we
going.
did in the Matthew Broderick story.
Oh yeah, that is true. Oh my gosh, that was so terrible. And the baby Godzillas, the Raptor Godzillas. Yeah. Oh. And Pete, I can't even say his name. Diddy, Combs, whatever. Yeah, whatever he goes by now. Sean, whatever.
Did the soundtrack?
His horrible soundtrack, audio track for that movie. Oh, gosh. There's so many bad things about that movie. So, anyway. Let's talk about Gearbox. What do you guys think? I think we beat the Game of Thrones to death like King's Landing got burned.
Yeah. The article, it kind of talks about one of the most popular voice actors on the show, and I didn't play the Borderlands titles. I know Matt did, so he might have a deeper meaning for it. But basically, the CEO of Gearbox has physically assaulted this actor, and just sounds like a jerk overall.
Well, I mean, it's the voice actor and one of their executives, because a lot of their executives and people that work for the company did some of their voices for the first game. So, and the guy he voices Claptrap, which is this extremely integral person or NPC in the entire series. But yeah, like this isn't the first time Randy Pitchford's been in some kind of weird, like, thing going on. He's had money stolen from him from an assistant. There's been a couple of other things, but I mean, there's witnesses to him pushing this person and basically assaulting him. And I haven't understood why he hasn't stepped down yet, because that's just insane.
Well, let me ask you this: when I hear assault, and this is kind of one of those things. Like, I get the charge, and I get the danger of it. He put his hands on another individual, but he did just put his hands on him because that could be considered assault. Did he push him, or did he throw up office linebacker him to the ground for not making some more Joe? That scenario, I would say yes. I mean, if you're just either way, it's wrong. And reading some of these articles, the dude sounds like a jerk. But I do, when they say assaulted him, did he just go up and say, "Look, I need you to leave," and kind of push him out of the way to let me get him out of the building because he's just being crazy and not listening?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter either way, but and people like to claim that's assault. But I know there's a lot of articles that say it's a lot worse than that. But I hate the gaming industry as a whole has a lot of little scandals like this that come up from time to time. It's either a CEO and it's assault, or there's sexual harassment, or you can go back to how poorly the gaming industry moderates their games voice chat and text chat. Microsoft's cracking down on it, which I think is great. I just don't think there's a place for that kind of stuff, and it's very frustrating to me because I like to be able to play a game. And I don't care if you think I'm good or bad or I'm not. If you think I'm good, you know what you can always do is leave match. Unpair from me. But you could also be a better person and say, hey, man, let me help you out. Try doing this instead. Don't do this. And if I don't listen, then you can bail out. But to sit there.
Don't bring a hand cannon into a raid. Yeah.
Hey, do not diss my hand cannon with explosive rounds in raids, okay? It worked. I was the one that was the clutch for killing Golgoroth that one time with my hand cannon and grenades running around.
No, that's just because you were the bait.
Yeah,
that's
I was.
Why you killed.
I was Operation Human Shield, and it worked. So shut your face.
I gotta hear this story later.
Yeah. So, but I mean, the gaming industry seems like it's starting to become a little bit toxic, especially when you hear all these stories about some of these gamers and our programmers and all these people working 100+ hour work weeks trying to get games out, and it's just that's not what I want to hear. Like I don't want to play a game that someone didn't get time to spend with their families and all this kind of stuff. That's not what I want. I want a solid game that I can play for 60 hours. Like that's all I really want. I want something I can play like with my friends, talk to them, chat with them, have fun, make fun of them because they carry hand cannons into raids. I mean, all those kind of fun stuff. Like that's all I want. I don't need. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. It's very discouraging. I would love to see a little more integrity. Games AAA titles don't come out as often anymore, and they're hit or miss now. I mean, Anthem's perfect example of that. This game was hyped up to be the Destiny killer, and this game was hyped up to be you got the exosuit and you can fly around and shoot, and it's got grenades. It's like being Tony Stark, and I was so excited about it. I paid for Origin Pass to try it out, and I played it for about an hour, maybe, and it was out. It just wasn't good. The social component wasn't there. Gameplay wasn't there. And the game tanked, and there's developers that are leaving the program, the product and stuff, and so
EA's a mess.
But there's this pressure to deliver a product, and I don't think Respawn's a perfect example. They made a great product, they launched it, there was no hype. Apex Legends was great, Titanfall was great, Titanfall 2 was great. I think sometimes we got to kind of take a step back and look at some of these games. It's like, just make a good game that's got a good story to it and it's got some substance to it, and it'll do great. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 1 and 2 were great. The storyline, I wish they would expand upon it. I would pay $60 a year if they would roll out a rich story like that, on a yearly basis or something.
Well,
and I know it's hard, but it's just frustrating when you pay so much for some of these games and you end up with just nothing, vapor.
Well, yeah, the problem is, the Battle Royale game type is killing AAA titles. The pay-to-win, play-to-win model of, loot crates and that sort of, element is killing
apparently
games.
Some senators trying to outlaw loot boxes in video games because it's like a form of gambling.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, California wants to make giving paper receipts illegal too. It's just don't you have better things to worry about? But the gaming industry is changed from when Call of Duty came out. And you're right. I mean, Call of Duty had a great story, and you were immersed in the characters, and run around with Soap McTavish, and we'll get him next time. I mean, you felt like you were part of a story.
And they were hard levels. Some of them were really hard.
The sneaking around in Russia when you got the army of people looking for you in the grass, that was amazing.
That was one of my favorite things about the whole Halo series, too, until what was it, Halo 4 or one of them?
Halo 3 was terrible.
Oh, no. See, I like that one, too. Like, some of it was hard.
Halo Reach, I loved. Halo Reach, I like because the end game, once you beat it, you were sitting there, the ship leaves and you're kind of just behind, and it's just it's the survival of the horde, and it's just like wave after wave of what were they, the people called from Halo,
Covenant or whatever.
The Covenant. I was trying to say Fallen. I'm like, that's Destiny. That's Randall the Vandal and Greg the Dreg. The Covenant. Another funny story we'll tell you about Brandon, but you know, there's just nothing. You know, it's just frustrating me. There's just nothing I feel like there anymore. There's no emotional connection for me with game.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe I'm getting too
old. It's also the video game streamers have such a voice over what's acceptable and what's popular. I mean, when Apex Legends launched, I mean, all the big streamers were all over there, and now they're migrating back to other games, whether it's due to they weren't getting the Twitch streams and the revenue they needed. So these kids that only watch Ninja and Dr. Disrespect, and I'm sure there's 1,000 other big ones out there, but only play the games that they play. I mean, they have all the control in the gaming industry, and they can ruin a game. They can ruin Destiny, like Gothalion tried to do, or any of those other streamers, and it can absolutely just make everyone hate that title because my favorite streamer doesn't play it anymore. People don't play for what the value they see in a game anymore, and I still do. I mean, I play Destiny 2 now, and I take breaks from time to time, but I'm back in Destiny 2 now because I enjoy the game. And like Matt said, I enjoy those hours spent with you two, and you know, Bean and Hammer and Kinetic, and you know, even Coot and all our old Jake and all our old clan guys.
Yeah.
Running those raids. I mean, as frustrating as they can be, that's
2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
But that was the enjoyment, and I got more out of that than what was being flashed on my screen.
Yeah. Did you enjoy me eating chips?
Oh, always, and burping. Even the one time he tried to fart into the mic, and I said, yeah. Who won? Who lost on that deal? But
his pants.
This podcast.
But everybody, the battle royale games, that's killing AAA titles because nobody wants, us older players and committed players want story, but the masses just want the next great, flick shot, 360 no scope. I'm being shot. I'm gonna build a wall.
Transactions, loot boxes, and all this crap. I really just want a solid game that I pay $60 for, and then if I want to play it more, give me some good DLCs. Also, one thing that I've noticed that Borderlands 3 is talking about, it's like, we're making a solid game. It should take 80 hours to play the main story with all the side missions, and then we'll have some DLCs. Like, Fallout 76 would have been great if I could have just played with my friends and not every other person. That one also, I had some issues with Fallout 76.
Yeah. I mean, it had a terrible launch, too.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of funny. I've been playing Division 2 a ton, and I kind of got not burned out, but I was just kind of I'm gonna try something else. I just want a quick like shooter game. So I picked Apex back up, Apex Legends, and I've really enjoyed it. It's probably out of all of the battle royale games I've played, between Ring of Elysium, Fortnite, Counter-Strike. There's another one. Let me pull it up on my desktop that I haven't played yet. PUBG. There's one I'm going to try to play. It's called Super Animal Royale. It looks kind of funny. And it's more of an over-top shooter game. But out of all of those, I really enjoy Apex, all of them. It's quick. It's got the right mechanics. You don't have to have a mic if you don't want to. Use the pinging system. And it to me is what, if you wanted to, I would have paid for that game when it launched.
Yeah. And it's crazy because EA didn't I didn't even know this game was coming out.
Nobody
until
did.
It came out.
I mean, it just came out.
And it's kind of funny is they have this great game, and then now the first season came out, and it's not been great. Like, there's nothing really in the actual season one that's like, I really want that thing, so I'll play this so much that I want that thing. And it's just like, it's okay.
I just enjoy playing.
It's just the gameplay has not changed one bit.
No.
The character they introduced hasn't been anything like mind-blowing. So
I saw something kind of cool they did with the new character Octane, because he can throw that jump pad down.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was playing as Gibraltar, and he pulls up his big arm shield, and they threw the jump pad on his shield, and then they would jump off of Gibraltar, and he would jump and hit things and then fly off the screen. Like, well, that's kind of cool. It's like a creative way of using some of the mechanics in the game, and I've also seen it to where somebody throws an arc star on themselves, or two of the guys throw arc stars on one character, and he kamikaze runs at the other teammates and stuff, other players, and there's some game strategy like that I think is kind of unique. But yeah, I don't think that that model is not going to last. I mean, you're not going to have the next Fortnite. The Fortnite is a one and done fluke. I felt like you're going to have success, but nobody's going to be that level because it's just a repeat. Everybody's just doing the same thing now, and there's nothing unique about it.
Well, and the thing is all these people that play it just watch the streamers and then copy exactly what they're doing, so everybody plays the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also feel like the balance between characters in Apex Legends is great. Like, there's no like tier 1 character, and that's the one you want to play with every time. Like, all of them have their strengths and weaknesses, and they're like, I'll play with Lifeline. What's the other one? What's the one? The grappler, Pathfinder.
I love Pathfinder.
And then Bloodhound, and those are the ones that I usually run with. And I've played with all the characters, but I just enjoy those. But it's like there's no one character that's greater than the others. So
yeah, the only thing that I'm really looking forward to, and I'm pretty sure it's coming out on PC. I could be wrong, but Sony did a teaser for it, and it's the Final Fantasy VII remake, and I'm really looking forward to that because that was a game that was like the game for me growing up. I was in middle school, you played as Cloud, you had the magic and all that stuff, and the story was super rich. I've still never beaten it to this day. I basically annoyed the crap out of my brother Brandon and hovered over his shoulder watching him until I got punched, and we had fist fights and all that other fun stuff as brothers do growing up, watching him play it. But that was a great game.
But I beat it.
I am looking forward to the new Star Wars game. What is it, Jedi Fallen?
Jedi Outcast.
No, that was one that was a long time ago.
No, was it? What is it? It's something Jedi.
It's Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It looks to be a linear story, but with Jedi powers. Yeah. I mean, I liked the first two Force Unleashed. Well, the second Force Unleashed took me like 8 hours to play all the way through, which I thought was trash, but.
I didn't really like that one. I'm really nervous. That's my only thing is I hope they don't try to do like a Force Unleashed on this. Because, like, Unleashed confused me because you're playing it, and I couldn't tell, is this actually canon? Because this is never alluded to in any of the other movies, and it was really frustrating to me because how does this fit into the story?
It was canon before Disney bought Star Wars.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. And then...
Well, that's the other thing, is everyone's is wrapped around the axles on what's canon, what's not canon.
I mean, if I had a good story, I don't care.
Who cares?
But it's
the first one had a good story. The second one, not so much.
Well, I guess what confuses me is it's like, okay, Darth Vader leaves, and then there's this other kid he's training up, and he's kind of going around in the background, but we never have any allusion to that in any of the other movies.
Yeah. Well,
so it's like,
in the comics, it alludes to the fact that he's training those, what are they called?
Inquisitors.
Inquisitors, yeah. He's in training those. And so, I mean, there's a lot of, like, secretive things that Vader's doing the entire time in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. So,
gotcha. See, I didn't. That's one of those things I wasn't aware of, and so that always kind of annoyed me because it's like, okay, where does this fit in? I would love to see them do a Shadows of the Empire remake, or make that into a movie or a TV series.
That was a good game.
Yes, and I would love for them to bring back. I want a good flight sim game. Like the Ace Combat games are really great, but they want you to pay like $90 for the game half the time, and then it never price drops, and then it randomly does, and it's a terrible time. But like Rogue Squadron or one of those games.
Was it what's that Star Wars game? The Battlefront 2. Some of that flying's pretty fun. I've downloaded it for like $7 like 2 weeks ago and played through some of it, so that was interesting and fun.
Yeah,
Remind me a little bit of Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, Carter and I did that for a little bit. I actually got a flight stick and a throttle controller for it. I'm gonna try to at some point program.
Yeah, the combat flight sims. I would love to see a new space combat sim for that. A Star Wars title, X-wing versus TIE fighter. Dogfighting, even if it's multiplayer or just a good campaign. Those are always fun, but I don't know. Doesn't seem like that's in fashion right now is combat sims.
Yeah, I think we're moving away from, hopefully the gaming industry is actually learning from itself, and these large AAA games are gonna they realize that they're gonna have to be better, and they're gonna have to be better when they ship, or they're gonna lose out to these free to play pay $10 every month to buy something new games. So
and that's the thing that kills me. Half these free to play games, it's you can play them. You don't. It's a skin. It's not like it's a new gun or something. It's just you look like John Wick this week, or we're gonna do. You'll get a frog.
Yeah, but it's such a cash grab for Epic.
Gosh.
I mean, it's just it's stupid.
I mean, I think when I first started playing Apex, I spent like $20 buying some skins because I like the game and I want it to do well. Like, I don't mind throwing some money out there if it's something I'm going to be playing like hours upon hours. Like, I just don't want to buy games like Anthem that are $60, or if I buy like some special edition and then it turns out to be like something I played for 2 hours. That game was trash.
Yeah.
Still, I don't know what it's like now, but it was trash. It was nothing like the demo that they gave us. Like, it was just straight up, oh, cool, I'm flying.
Hell, it had the coolest damn video,
live action hype trailer video ever.
Live action video you've ever seen. I mean, I think the coolest one prior to that was probably the Ghost Recon Wildlands. I thought that intro video was cool, which there's a new Ghost Recon that we might could talk about. But yeah, the hype behind the game, and they built it up for so long is the Destiny killer, and honestly, Destiny is the Destiny killer. But
Destiny has been the Destiny killer.
It failed, and I mean, people at BioWare, I mean, they should be concerned. And
after that Mass Effect, that one was trash. It was basically the same game. That's what I felt like, other than you could fly. Yeah. It's like same crap, just you can fly in this one. Cool.
So, anyway, well, guys, I mean, I think we've kind of beat up the subject tonight.
Yeah. We've been going about an hour. Nobody's watching us anymore. I think it's time we call it a night.
All right. Well, if you pick this up on Spotify, iTunes, or Podbean, you listen to the audio. We appreciate you guys staying with us. Let us, give us feedback. Let us know how we're doing. You can find us on Twitter at Nerf Herder Radio. Here on Facebook. I mean, we're always looking for customer feedback. I want to thank you to Brandon and Matt for joining in tonight. And you guys are always welcome to come back. And I
mean, this basically sounds like some of our Xbox Live parties.
It does. It does.
I'm not burping and eating a bunch of chips is all. So I can add that in there, but I don't think the other people, the viewers, would appreciate it.
Please don't. Please don't. You said to keep this family friendly, so.
Yeah.
And my brother holds up on the webcam a big bag of Tostito chips. See, we are family.
No, we appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. Definitely appreciate you guys' comments, and always like to keep it fresh, keep it fun. So if you guys have any suggestions from the crowd, want us to talk about anything, movies. I mean, I do like Star Wars recaps because we're kind of in a lull. So what do you say? Next week we recap episode 2.
Sure.
And maybe we'll spend a little bit more time on it. I don't think we really spent a whole lot of time on Star Wars. Maybe that's my fault because we jumped straight into the Game of Thrones.
I'll watch it before next week if you guys will have me, and I'll actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I watched it about a month ago. I don't know if I'm going to rewatch it again. That one was kind of hard to stomach. There were some cool parts, but I definitely liked it.
Episode 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's its own kind of special.
Yeah, it's rough. I'll admit it's rough.
Yeah. So, well, all right, guys. I think that does it for this episode of Nerf Herder Radio. You guys have any final thoughts?
I like turtles.
This has been fun.
Yep.
We'd like to tell you guys to get back on Destiny because Outbreak Prime is back, and there's a pretty cool story for that. You get to go back to the old tower, and it feels really weird going back to the old tower.
I'll have to plug my Xbox up. It's sitting on a shelf right now, collecting dust.
I'll think about it.
Matt probably uninstalled Destiny too, but
no, I have a large hard drive. There's no need for that.
But yeah, going back to the old tower is kind of cool. It's a really neat story. Kind of ties back into some. There's a. No, never mind. I'll save it for another day. But no, I appreciate you guys jumping on tonight. As I say in the Star Wars galaxy, the Force will be with you always.